Welcome everyone to the 2025 Major Series calendar announcement. As in previous years, the end of the current season marks the point where we find out what's in store for 2025. So our president, Mike, is going to take the reins of today's rally and share the breakdown of what's going to be happening next year. So take it away, Mike.
Thanks, Garen. So this is always the most anticipated announcement of the year. Everybody loves the calendar announcement, and we spend a lot of time talking about what we're going to race the following year, looking at what worked, what didn't work in the current year and in years past. We look at what we've raced historically and how long it's been since we've raced somewhere historically. And honestly, we try to get in as many great races as we can. As we alluded to in the last podcast, we are going to have 3 regions once again, America's, European, and International. This year, that's going to be significant in that the 3 schedules are not going to be identical. They'll be identical for most of the rounds, and we'll cover that here in just a second. But there will be some rounds where they're not the same. While most people will choose the region that they participate in based on their availability, but you might take a look at the schedule and see if you like one better than the other if you happen to have availability in more than one. A key difference on those rounds where the schedule is different, in the past, we would have called that a wild card round where drivers could compete in any of the 3 races. Well, this year, drivers can compete in any of the 3 races in every round. So they're not really wild cards, but they all are set up that way where you can compete in all 3. So for the rounds during the season where the regions have a different race, you can still compete in all 3. Again, how that affects points, ringers, and all that stuff I'll talk about at the end, but let's get to the schedule. On January 12th, the 2025 season will kick off, and we will return for the first time in 3 years to Daytona for the Daytona 2.4 with the IMSA classes at Daytona. So that should be super popular. It's the week before the iRacing special event, so it'll be a good tune-up for everybody. It'll be a great way to kick off the season, and it will not be a Predator race. So I know many of you will probably be asking that, but we've debated that hotly, and we're just going to go with straight up race for 2025. See how that goes. All 3 regions will compete in the same race that round. Again, January 12th, or the weekend of January 12th, the Daytona 2.4. On February 9th, we have our first crown jewel of the season, the Intimidator. But we are going back to a very, very, very popular and much requested combo that we've been a couple years since we did. We're doing the 1987 NASCAR Cup cars at Daytona. Get ready for some very high speeds, a little bit less drafting, super fun combo. It's going to be a great week of recreating that 1987 event in our Intimidator. And again, all 3 regions will be running the 87s at Daytona. Round 3, we have our first divergence in the schedules. So we're calling this our GT3 World Tour. And for the Americas region, they're going to race the GT3s at Road America. For the European region, GT3s at Spa, and for the international region, GT3s at Bathurst. Drivers can compete in any of the regions they like, or just their home region is just fine. In round 4 on April 6th, we will be doing the World 600, one of the very popular oval events that we've done in the past. This year, we're using the Gen 4 NASCAR stock cars at Charlotte in all 3 regions. Gen 4 at Charlotte should be a great combination for the World 600. On May 4th, we have our second crown jewel, our Speedway 500. We will be doing the Dallara RA18 at Indy for all 3 regions. May 4th, which will be the week before Mother's Day, and a couple weeks before the iRacing special event. So good practice and prep. On June 1st, this has been our round 6 is coming into play. This has been very much requested by a lot of people and is popular in the polling as well as in the committee to have a warm-up for the Majors 24. We used to always have a Le Mans 2.4, and we're bringing it back for 2025. So we'll have a Le Mans 2.4 on June 1st. So a good warm-up with the GTP, GT3, and LMP2 cars at Le Mans. And so round 7 was not really an official round in the series, but that'll be the Majors 24, and that'll be 1 week later on June 8th. Same cars, just a full-length team race. The June 1st one, to clarify, is an individual race, solo, 2.4 hours. On July 20th, after a shorter summer break, we return. And this time it's another World Tour event where the three regions have a different race. This one is the 2007 IndyCar World Tour, where we're going to be using the IR05 Dallara. You get 3 different tracks for each region. In Americas, they'll be racing Homestead, which was the first race back in unified IndyCar in that car. The European region will be racing the IR05 at Sonoma, and the international region will be racing the IR05 at the Motegi Oval. So again, all real races from that 2007 season. That should be a fun week. If you want to race that car at all 3 tracks, you absolutely can. August 17th, round 9 is another World Tour event. This one's the World Series of Asphalt. We did this race a couple years ago with the Tour Modifieds, and that was actually a really good event and a good race. I thought that was awesome for an oval race. I thought it was one of the more competitive and clean oval races that we've had, especially for a short track. And this year, we are going to be taking this to a new level with the World Series of Asphalt, because that race is truly a smorgasbord of cars and different styles of racing, all at the same track, usually in early February in the real world. We're going to run 3 different cars at the same track. So instead of doing the same car at different tracks, it's 3 different cars at the same track, all in the spirit of the World Series of Asphalt. For the Americas region, they'll be running the super late models at New Smyrna. The European region will be running the mini stocks at New Smyrna. That's an advantage for a region that maybe doesn't necessarily love short track racing so much, because the mini stock is a free car. It reduces the purchase necessary. It's also one of the classes that is run during the World Series, so that's cool. And the international region will be running the regular late model at New Smyrna, a very popular oval car. So that should be a solid turnout as well. On September 7th for round 10, we're going back to a race. We've not done this race in a long time, clearly overdue. We had a lot of people clamoring for it, both in the survey and in the committee. We're going to do the Petit Le Mans, so the IMSA classes at Road Atlanta for all 3 regions on September 7th. Super excited for that race. Again, something that we used to do regularly in the first few years of the majors. We haven't been back in a long time, so it's long overdue and happy to get back there. For round 11 on October 5th, I guess round 10 really of the actual points paying season. But on October 5th, we do our final World Tour event where the regions have different races. This is our NASCAR World Tour event. The Americas region is going to be doing the Southern 500 in the next gen at Darlington. The European region is going to be doing the next gen at Charlotte Roval. And the international region is going to be doing the next gen at Watkins Glen. So 2 NASCAR road courses and 1 classic Southern 500 style race. So should be fun. In round 12 on October 26th, another race that we've done many times in the past, but it's been a few years since we've been back. We are going to be doing the Bathurst 500 supercars at Bathurst. We hope to get the new Gen 3s are ready by then. Regardless, we'll be running the supercars at Bathurst for 500 kilometers. It's a grueling, long race. We've done it many times, and it's usually one of the most satisfying races, and we usually do it right at the end of the year as well. It's a great race to have towards the end of the season, and a very popular choice for a lot of the survey respondents. We close out our season on November 16th with our Formula Majors round as normal. But this year we're going to do it a little different. We've done a modern Formula One car for the last several years. I'm not sure how many to be exact, but for several years we've done a modern Formula One car at a modern Formula One track. As much as I love that concept, it just hasn't been that popular because the cars aren't that popular. They're difficult to drive and they're just not used that much in officials. For this year, our Formula Majors round is going to be the Super Formula, which is a very popular car in officials at Suzuka. So we're going to be doing the Japanese Grand Prix in all 3 regions, Americas, European, and international. The race length, the format will be slightly modified, but there will be a sprint race as the Q3 and then a nearly full-length Grand Prix as the main event. And there you have it. That is 12 rounds. In case it was lost on anybody, we have increased our race count by 2. So we've gone from 10 to 12. Most people wanted us to increase the race count again, and so we have accommodated that, and I think it's a really neat schedule.
Thanks, Mike. I'll give you a chance to have a breath there. That was an awesome run through of the calendar that we're going to have. I think the rounds that have differences from one region to another is going to be really interesting. And I certainly will be looking to try and do a couple of events when those give the opportunity. As you said, we've gone from 10 rounds to 12. And we've also now got varying levels in European and international of road versus oval rounds. Can you just give us a rundown on how drop rounds will work, given that it has been one oval, one road drop in the past? How's that going to work in 2025?
Yeah, great question. We are going to maintain 2 drops as we have had for many years, but this year it'll be 2 drops regardless of type of race. So whether it's oval, road, it could be you could drop 2 ovals, you could drop 2 road. In the future, we may have a dirt round in there where that could be a drop as well. So you could drop anything. As you
Um,
said, European has a heavier road schedule than oval, and so it only made sense to not pin that down.
yeah, and I think it's also good for people that in the past, just because of real world commitments, happened to miss 2 rounds from the same discipline. It wasn't through choice; it just happened to be, and then sort of meant that they had to carry a 0 round. So we've got additional rounds, additional regions, additional structures. How is the pricing structure going to work for 2025 in terms of memberships and entries into various regions?
Another good question. This is based on feedback we've received. The concept behind the credits has been received in a very lukewarm way to negatively by a lot of people, and understandably. And of course, the price went up significantly in the last couple of years. Now that was intended to be offset by additional coins, the 2 broadcasts in each region, et cetera, et cetera. So there was significant cost increases, but in many ways, it was obvious that the cost increase was not popular. So this year, we are bringing back our $40 season pass, and it's $40 or 40 credits. So what that means is that if you have currently 50 credits in your bank on the Major Series, you will be able to use those credits to purchase a season pass for 2025 and have a $0 outlay. You'll be able to race literally for free. If you have some amount of credits that are less than 40, you can buy the difference to get yourself there, and then you can purchase the pass with your credits as well, or you can simply purchase a pass for $40 and have a pass. One thing that will be interesting here is that when you purchase a pass, you'll be purchasing it for the region you intend to race. And that's going to be important for a couple reasons. So one, you could in theory purchase multiple passes. So if you thought, I want to race both Americas and international, or European and international, or whatever, you could do that. You could purchase a pass for both, $40 for each region that you want to race in, and you're able to do that. Most people will probably just pick one, and that's fine. What does the pass get you? Well, it gets you entry into every round, number one, but it also gets you eligible for points. So people who don't have a season pass, as always, we welcome ringers and always will. But if you don't have a season pass in the region that you're racing in, you will not accrue points. You will not accrue the ability to earn coins in that race. The exceptions will be the crown jewels, not for points, but for coins, because for crown jewels, there is a separate entry fee needed for people who don't have a season pass. For non-crown jewel races, those races are going to be free, even if you don't have a season pass. So we will welcome anybody who wants to come and race with us for the Daytona 2.4. If you want to have a season pass and you want to be part of the championship, you want to earn the coins, you'll have a season pass. But if you just want to race for free, you are able to do that. So again, we are a big tent. We want to welcome in everybody to race with us, and hopefully those will translate into season pass holders, long-term members, people who stick with us for a long time. Formula has worked for us for a long time, and we've diverged from it for a little bit in the last couple of years, and I'd like to get back to it, and I'm glad that we are. You purchase a season pass if you want to be part of the championship discussion. You want to earn points each round, and you want to be able to earn coins each round, or prizes, whatever they may be for that particular round. You'll need to have a season pass or have purchased an entry fee for that particular race if it's a crown jewel event.
That's some really interesting changes there, Mike. Thanks for running through those. I believe also we're looking into ways that we might be able to identify ringers. We're not entirely sure how we'll do that. Hopefully there'll be a way drivers will be able to see in real time in a relative boxes or what have you. This driver isn't counting for points, so that if they're points racing for the championship, they'll know who they're actually racing from one round to another.
So whether that's league ID or whatever, but yeah.
One other thing, Mike, that I thought I'd ask, there's been some potential ideas around having different leagues set up in the iRacing system for these different regions.
Yeah. So we will be doing that. So thank you for reminding me. We will definitely be doing that for lots of different reasons. Numbers is a big one. We'll have an America's region league. We'll have a European region league. We'll have an international region league for next year. Again, if you intend to race in all three at some point, you'll want to join them all. If you are a season pass holder in European, as an example, and you have a preferred number, you will set that, we'll assign that in that region and in that region only. And then if you cross over and you race in Americas or international once or twice during the year, you'll have a non-assigned number, so a 3-digit higher number that we assign you manually just to protect the integrity of the numbers for everybody in the region. That'll make it cleaner. It'll also make it easier in the UI to see what's what. So, yep.
From a practice laps perspective, will practices all be joined when regions are at the same place, or will they be separated out that way as well?
Well, we'll have practices in specific leagues in specific regions. So if you want to practice in any region at any time, you'll want to be a member of all three regions. Like I said, it's more of a housekeeping thing for us from a data perspective and the members' perspective. It'll be easy and free to join any of the leagues on iRacing. So, but typically, from in the leagues will run their practice sessions in the prime time or late afternoon to late evening in the time of their regions from 3:00. I'm making this up at this point, but 3:00 Sydney to 9:00 Sydney will be a 6-hour window that will be in the international region league on iRacing, and similar for Americas and European in their own respective time frames. So, but anybody can run in all of them.
But in terms of meeting the minimum practice laps, if you intend on running more than one race on a given weekend, you will need to do the practice laps in each of the region servers.
Only if the races are different. So, for the IMSA round or the Daytona 2.4, obviously everybody's running the same cars at the same track. So all the practice laps from any region would count towards your total. But round 3, when we're running the GT3 cars at 3 different tracks, then yes, you would need to meet the minimum for each one that you intend to race.
In terms of pre-qualifying, you would need to do a pre-qualifying in each region?
Dependent on a lot of things, but in theory, yes.
Okay, we'll definitely clarify that once we get closer to the first round.
Yep.
It's probably going to come down to the logistics and how we can compile the data that we're getting from iRacing for each of the regions. That'll determine whether we can do that crossover or not. Watch this space. Is there anything else you'd like to raise or let people know at this point? I know that we've got a few things coming up. We've got the final round this weekend, Formula Majors. We've got Blackout opening for registrations on November 11th, any second now, depending exactly on when this goes out. That'll follow essentially the same process as the Majors 24 registrations, just with a limit of 4 drivers per car instead of 8. But everything else will largely be the same as far as the team management side of that goes. Is there anything else regarding 2025, which when I look at a calendar is really scarily close, before we close this one off for today?
Yeah, I think we covered most of it. We got the season passes, the ringers. People are going to have questions on both of those things, and that's fine to ask. Please do. If you need any clarification in terms of the regions and the 12 race calendar, 9 free races and 3 crown jewels. Obviously, the 13th round is our Majors 24. A lot going on. I'm just excited to see how the concept works in terms of bringing the season pass back, allowing ringers to maintain a prominent position in our league. I feel strongly about that, but at the same time, neuter their impact on championships and awards. So it's sort of a win-win for everybody, I hope. But we'll see. And then the popularity of having different races for different regions in a particular week. In theory, it should be good. We let people pick something that's more appealing to them, but we'll see. I'm very excited to see it. I think we covered most of the big stuff.
Yeah, once the season is upon us, we'll clarify things like broadcast partners, how live adminning and safety cars will work for the various different rounds, and that sort of thing. Thanks, Mike. I know this is always a very exciting time for us Majors Series regulars every year. Everyone share your thoughts in the Discord constructively, please. Share your thoughts. And if there's some common questions, then maybe we can address that in the next podcast if there seems to be any 1 or 2 points of repeated concern or misunderstanding. But I think there it is. The calendar is out there for everyone to look at. If you're listening on the podcast, the calendar will be released for you to read and look at. If you're watching this on YouTube, well, obviously it's been in front of you. Thanks, Mike, for sharing that with us. And let's everyone get planning for 2025.
Sounds good.